I love the focal scripture that Crystal has for today, Proverbs 11:25, and I'm going to read it to you from the Amplified version. The generous man is a source of blessing and shall be prosperous and enriched, and he who waters will himself be watered, reaping the generosity he has sown. And so I love that because when she sent out the information and set the theme and about giving and generosity, and I think we do a good job as women, we do a good job of being generous. I think where sometimes we fall short and we have difficulty is we have difficulty in receiving. And so we must be generous in our giving, but we also have to be generous in our receiving. And I love that focal scripture again because it's really reminding us that our generosity will be paid back with generosity and that our pouring out will be met with refreshing. And that is so comforting to know that of all the things you're doing, all the great things you're doing in your lives, in your work, in your businesses, in your churches, in your homes, with your family, your friends, all of that, the generosity that you're pouring out, that it's going to be poured back into you. The caveat is only if you receive it. Wow. And so for many of us, we have a really hard time receiving. And how many of you have ever heard somebody say, you know, I love to give and I love to help. I just have a hard time, you know, when somebody wants to give me something. When somebody wants to do something for me. I have a hard time saying yes to myself. Wow. Which is really what you're hearing them say. But I want to give you this little nugget that you cannot be a good giver if you are not a good receiver. Wow. Right? I love that at our church, Pastor Cheryl McMurtry, she's an accountant, and she talks about giving and receiving being twins. They go together. You cannot separate one from the other, and we know this because the Bible tells us that. It is a law that giving goes hand in hand with receiving. It's a spiritual law, right? Sowing and reaping, seed time and harvest. You cannot have one without the other, and if you are generously giving and not generously receiving, you are out of balance. And the law is not operating in your life in the way that it should be. And then we have to ask ourselves, why is it that I won't receive? What is it? What are the messages that we got? What was given to us? And so these messages have been handed down to us from generation to generation, from generation to generation to generation, all the way back to slavery. And as women, we have this issue, but particularly as Black women, because we have been taught and bought and sold and told, you give and you give and you give and you take care of everybody else, you nurture everybody else. Anytime somebody needs something, whip out your breast and let them suck from it. Wow. And when you run out of milk, go make a miracle and find some more. And keep giving and keep giving. In church, we're told, give until it hurts. But I want to tell you something. If you are doing anything that is causing you pain, stop it. Come on. It's one thing to experience pain as a part of a healing process. Whenever you are healing, you will experience pain. If you fall and you scrape your knee, it'll heal. It will also hurt. So that's one thing, to experience pain as a part of the healing process. It's another thing to induce and reproduce pain unnecessarily, and especially when it's self-inflicted. That doesn't make sense, but we do it, right? And so we really have to take a look and say, why am I doing this? What were the messages I was told? What was given to me? And the funny thing is, that's the one thing we did receive. The message that we were not supposed to receive. That we were always supposed to be giving out and not taking in. And so we've got to get to a place where we get past the pain, we get past the trauma, we get past the hurt, we get past the negative, harmful messages that told us that we could not receive just as well and vibrantly and generously as we give. And so when we get past those points, then we can receive everything we're supposed to receive. And so here's one thing. I can guarantee you that if you are not a good receiver in your natural life, you are also not a good receiver in your spiritual life. You are not receiving from God. You are only mirroring in the natural what's happening in the spiritual.
Wow.
And if your spiritual life is out of balance and you cannot receive from God, you will also not receive from your sister. Anything that's happening as a manifestation of it is a manifestation of whatever is going on in your life. Whatever is going on in your heart. Whatever is going on in your mind. Your thinking, your believing, your feeling. The Bible tells us that out of our mouth flow the issues of our heart. How does stuff get into our heart? Where does it come from? But you can rest assured, and that's a question for you all to ask yourselves, but you can rest assured that whatever is in your heart will come out. And if you believe that you are unworthy, undeserving, unskilled, whatever. Because I mean, when I said unskilled, that just made me think about, why do you go to work and you take whatever they offer you and pay? Because you think you don't have the right to ask for more? Why not? I would never go to a job, now I've done it before. But when I came to my, when I came to my son was in the pig to eat with the pigs, and the Bible said he came to himself. Like, hold on. When I came to myself, I realized you can't just offer me anything and I'll take it. Because I'm not an anything kind of person. My God's not an anything kind of God. And he didn't put just any old thing in me. And so if you want it, you will pay for it. Now, this is just my little sidebar. You might not have paid my ancestors, but you're going to pay me. Right. I'm serious. So really, we have to really take a look at where those messages come from and understand that receiving is just as much a part of giving as the actual giving. And so what does all that have to do with spirituality? What do you think that any of that I just said has to do with spirituality?
I think what you said, was that if we're not connected spiritually, then we can't manifest anything naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. And my answer was just what you said, everything. It has everything to do with spirituality. Because that means that you have people that are in your life. You have sisters, and I mean sisters in the broad sense. So mothers, sisters, daughters. You have other women in your life that are there to give, to pour, to sow into you, to refresh you. But if you can't receive it, you are missing out on the goodness and the gift of life. And so what I am saying to you, because we only had a couple of minutes, and I will answer any questions later, but what I want you to think about is I want you to see your sister as a gift and receive her as your act of worship.
Whoa.